Hey everybody, this is Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and today we've got the infotainment demo and tour of Audi's 10.1-inch MMI infotainment on this 2022 Audi Q3. We'll also take a look at this 12.3-inch digital cluster with this beautiful map, as you can see. But before we get started with all of that, let's hop out and take a look around the car just to see what it looks like. Think of this as basically just a lifted Audi A3. This one is the 45 with the S-Line pack, so we've got the 20-inch optional wheels on here with Bridgestone summer tires. Brings this all together as a nice little subcompact SUV package. But we're not here to talk about stuff like that today. We're here to talk about the infotainment. But if you are curious to learn more about this Audi Q3, how it drives, what kind of fuel economy it gets, we will have links to all of those videos down in the description. But let's go ahead and get started and take a look around this infotainment and see what it's like. And we're going to start here with the 10.1-inch MMI display. If you're wondering what MMI means, it means multimedia interface, pretty much just Audi's way of saying infotainment. A pretty attractive display overall here, just a pretty simple layout with color-coded buttons and a home screen here that tells you what sort of phone you've got connected, as well as a search function. But let's start over here on the left. As you can see, we have our home button. Down one, we have our Sirius XM tab, which is on Symphony Hall that we'll need to turn down. Here we have our media tab. As you can see, I've got an Android phone plugged in right now, so it's prompting me to go to Android Auto. Here we have our call tab, which also prompts me onto this OnePlus Android phone that Charlie has so graciously given me. I have no idea how to work an Android phone, so this will be interesting. It'll be a journey for us to figure out together. And finally, at the bottom, we have our navigation tab. Audi always does a great job with just a very attractive navigation layout. As you can see, we've got lots of good detail here. It's a nice 3D display. At the top, we've even got a little sky, which is kind of neat. So let's go back home and we'll start with just going through some of these buttons here. So our radio tab here, we can go through. As you can see, Symphony Hall just wants to make itself known. Our source right now is Sirius XM, but with the source tab here, we can go through and filter through all of these AM, FM, and whatever you'd like, whatever source you'd like to listen to the radio. Charlie will be happy to know that there is a knob down here that controls your volume, but also allows you to skip through radio stations and tracks. So that's pretty neat. Okay. Sometimes we see on cars that there isn't a way to do this, but Audi does give you that option. It is turning the volume up every time I do that, but this I see more as for the passenger, because on the steering wheel we do have a volume knob right here that we can control, but the passenger also has an option over here. On and off here for the volume. If you click the knob, it'll turn volume on and off. So let's go ahead and go back. The easiest way I found to go back is to just hit the home button. Your media button here will prompt you to open up Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, whatever you have connected, and we'll get into that in just a second. The phone tab here, same as the tab that you have here on the left-hand side. Navigation does the same. That button there takes you to Android Auto, and I promise we'll get to that in just a second. But let's go ahead and look at some of our vehicle settings. You've got Audi Drive Select here on the left. You can also get to this by pressing this physical button down here for Drive Select. This will take you through all of your drive modes: off-road, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. I've got to say, I can appreciate a drive mode select that has a physical option, and I appreciate also that you can do it through the infotainment. There's nothing wrong with having an additional way to do things in the cars. Parking aids here, you can decide how loud you want your parking aids to be. Different tones there for our front and rear sensors. You can also turn on your rear cross traffic assist. And my favorite tab, light and visibility, because you are able to change your ambient lighting in here. And you're not going to be able to see this during the day, but I'm going to put in a little snippet of this car at night where I cycle through all of these. So I will go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and run through all of these ambient lighting colors. As you can see here, we've got it set to purple currently, but we have 30 different colors that we can go through. And let's just go ahead and cycle through those real quick. I'll give you a view here of the passenger front door as well as our Quattro logo here on the dash that lights up. So I'll put you right here as I cycle through the colors. Here we go, pink. Here come our blues. And transitioning into the greens here. And into yellow. Going now into orange. And into reds. And our two different shades of white. Overall, a decent display here for the ambient lighting. Of course, we see much better performances on Mercedes and some BMWs, but I appreciate that this Quattro badge lights up and also that we have these nice bright lines on the door panel. So also, I've got to say, awesome that we have 30 different colors. How cool is that? So always cool to see. I hate when you only get like 5 or 6 different color choices. You can also go ahead and adjust brightness there. As far as exterior lighting goes, this is just entry, exit, automatic headlight settings, and things like that. As far as driver assistance goes, we don't have too many driver aids on this Audi Q3, but you can set what you do have in here: speed warning, traffic light info, adaptive cruise, and then lane departure warning is not an actual lane keep assist. It just yells at you and vibrates when you are going out of a lane. So you can see all your driver aids there. Settings and service, you can assign different buttons on your steering wheel in here to whatever you'd like them to be. You can see we have more settings here for entertainment, navigation, phone, all of that stuff. This infotainment is set up in a very uniform manner. You can see that we have all of these different boxes that bring us to different things. When we go home, it's all different boxes. We've got boxes on the left. Everything seems to be set up in a very uniform way that just makes everything a little bit easier to navigate. These tabs over here mostly go hand in hand with your Audi app, so we won't go too far into these options over here. Instead, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Android Auto. Now, bear with me for a second because I've never had an Android phone, so this is kind of a first tour for me of Android Auto. And I've got to say that Audi does a pretty good job making this look very attractive. It takes up mostly the whole screen here. We just have our 5 tabs here on the left, which are permanently affixed, which I can appreciate. Can take you back to home anytime you'd like. For Android Auto, we've got all of our tabs laid out here in circle form, as I'm sure most Android Auto screens look like. And we don't have them all in one spot. You've got to scroll down here. But a pretty attractive display here. You can bring up Google Maps. Not bad. Can move it around. And you've got a home button down here there to get back home. And if you don't want to use this home button here on the left, you can click Audi and that will take you back to your main Audi screen. Before we get into Apple CarPlay, let's just take one more look at this navigation. As you can see, you've got your map over here on the right, but you also have a map here on the left. This is my favorite part about Audis, is how attractive this map display is in your cluster. You can change how you want it. You can have the bigger gauges there, or you can shrink the gauges and have a full screen map. Well, not entirely full screen, but dang close. You can switch what you want over here as far as what you want for your navigation system. You can also switch entirely what you have. You can bring up your Android Auto or your phone, and you can also have your trip computers on here as well. See all your different settings. My favorite mode to leave this in is just navigation, because the way I see it is you can have navigation here on the cluster, and then you can be doing something else over here on the infotainment. All right, so let's go ahead and switch the Android phone out for an Apple phone, which is my phone. No offense to the Android users, I just am not a fan, and I'm not very experienced, but this series maybe will bring me into the world of Android, and I'll be able to understand what it's like. Cool. Apple CarPlay, same as Android Auto. It's a very attractive display here. I always give manufacturers props when they can find a way to make this take up the whole screen. Reacts pretty quickly here. No real lag in this entire infotainment system. Everything reacts very quickly. Can pull up our Apple Maps here, as you can see. Everything reacts pretty quickly. Back to home. Let's pull up Spotify. You can see how that looks. I'm very impressed with just how fast everything reacts on this MMI infotainment. I honestly don't have any complaints. You can see Audi MMI. This will take you back. If you don't want to use that, you can just hit home, and it'll take you back there to home. Overall, I've got to say that I'm pretty impressed with how this Audi MMI infotainment works. It's not often we have infotainment systems that react this quickly. I mean, this reacts just as fast as any smartphone would, so it's pretty cool to see that infotainment systems are getting to the point now where maybe they're going to be comparable with smartphones. It certainly can't be said for all of the OEMs, but as far as Audi goes, this is a really, really good infotainment system. So if you're thinking about getting into an Audi, just know that the infotainment is one of the strongest points in this car. Pair that with your 12.3-inch digital gauge display that you can have be this beautiful map. Everything is good here in this Audi Q3 as far as infotainment. So thank you all for bearing with me through this. This has been my first infotainment review, so sorry if it was a little bit rocky, if it was all over the place, but we're going to be working with Charlie on these to just kind of make these a normal addition to the Daily Motor log here. And with that, it's going to end the infotainment video today for us. Thank you guys again so much for watching. This has been Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.